Melody, and today I'm gonna be doing a mukbang slash story time. Today I'm gonna be eating buffalo wild wings. I get cauliflower wings because, as many of you know, or maybe you don't, I've been vegetarian for 2-3 years. I also got potato wedges and I have carrots. But yeah, I've been vegetarian for 2 to 3 years, and people are always like, oh, what do you eat? And well, cauliflower wings, and they're actually really good. But I'm gonna make a story time of how I came to the US at 6 years old and how that impacted me into the person I am now. So first I'm gonna try the food because I haven't eaten all day. These is how they look. Like, they're so tiny. They look like little chicken nuggets, but it's cauliflower and ranch. Look at it. It's like, it looks like a chicken nugget, but it's cauliflower. It's 10 out of 10. I haven't had buffalo wild wings in so long because I don't really eat like fattening foods, but so good. Don't mind my lashes because I need a refill, so I know I look a little crazy right now. But anyways, this is a story time of how I moved to the US at 6 years old and how challenging it was for me. So many of you can probably relate, well, people in the Hispanic community, because everyone does it. Basically, like, I was born in Houston. Both of my parents decided to have me and my sister here so we could have papers, but as soon as we were born, we went straight to Mexico. My whole mom's side of the family lives over there, and my dad's side did too. But my dad's side of the family like slowly started moving to Houston, and I guess when my parents got together, like my dad's mom, my grandma, wanted them to do the same thing. Like, they were like, oh, like, you're gonna move too with the kids, or when y'all have kids or whatever. But my mom didn't want to. Like, my mom was like, no, like, I want my kids to live here with the rest of my family, which I get. They came to like an agreement, like, oh, we'll have the kids in Houston so they can have papers, but we'll go live in Mexico, right? So basically that's what happened. And I lived in Monterrey for 6 years. Like, I went to school over there for like 2 years. I did like preschool and pre-K. I would come to Houston like I only came like once or twice for like Christmas or something, so I could see like my dad's side of the family. But my whole life was always in Monterrey. Like, we have a house in Mexico, and like we all lived over there like as a family. But my dad would be like back and forth from like Houston and Mexico, but I would never notice because I was too young. One time we come to Houston like usual, you know, for like the holidays or whatever, and then my mom talks to me and my sister, and she's like, oh, like, how would y'all feel about staying here? And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, yeah, like, would y'all like to live here and go to school here? And she's like asking us, and of course I think my sister was like, I don't care. But I was not with it. Like, I was like, no, like, I don't want to live here. She has sat us down and asked us, and I straight up told her, no, like, I'm not gonna live here. And she was like, okay, whatever. She sits us down again, and she's like, we're gonna stay here, like, we're gonna move here now. And I was like, for what? Basically, like, she told me, like, you're gonna be here just to go to school here, but during breaks and holidays we're gonna be in Monterrey, right? She broke it down for me, and I was like, at first I was like, oh, okay, like, we're just gonna go to school here and that's it, right? And she was like, yeah, so we're all gonna live as a family here, like how we were living in a family over there, but now we're just gonna do it in a different country. And she was like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay. So my mom literally like took me, like, she signed me up for school, and she was with me the whole time. And I was young, but I was like, I don't care, because as long as my mom is here with me, like it's fine, you know, like, we're all together. So she went and signed me up for school, which I did not want to go because I don't know English, and I just feel very like, Mexico is so different than the US. Like, it's so different, and it's like, I was scared. Obviously, I was young, and basically my whole life had turned upside down, and I was like, why are we doing this? I did not understand it at the time. Now I do, but back then I didn't. She was with me for like the first day of school, and then this girl, well, my mom, packed all her shit, all her luggage, and she was getting ready to go. I was like, where are you going? She looked at my dad like, and I'm sitting here like, where are you going? Are we going to Mexico? Because that's usually the cue, like how things go. And she was like, no, like I'm gonna go to Mexico and y'all are gonna stay. And I was like, huh? Because the plan was for all of us to live here. So I was confused as to why she was taking trips without us. You know, I didn't understand that. And she was like, no, like I'm gonna leave. Y'all gonna stay here with your dad. I have to go back. And I was like, for what? She didn't want to tell me the whole truth at the time. Like, she did not tell me. She was like, oh, I'm gonna come back, I promise. Like, I'm gonna come back. And I was like, when? And I remember I begged her not to leave. Like, I literally got on my knees and I cried so bad. I was like, don't leave. Like, please don't leave me. Like, you promised you were gonna stay with me. You promised you were gonna be here with me in this new country. Because mind you, I was very close to my mom, and I literally told her, like, I don't want to be here. I don't like these people. I don't like the energy. And she was like, I love you. I'm here for you. Da, da, da. So when she was there, I literally begged her not to leave. And it was very emotional. Like, she was crying and I was crying. Like, I feel like they felt bad because they didn't expect me to like snap the way that I did. But I was very upset. I was like 6 years old, and it's like, who leaves their kid at 6 years old in a whole different country? Yes, she left me with my dad. But anyways, so she left. She would come back like every month, you know, like she would come see us every month. So she was trying to like, you know, make up for the fact that she was gone, because my mom worked in Mexico and she was never able to leave. She still hasn't been able to leave her family in Mexico. Like, she has always normalized for us to go back and forth. So that's really how it was. Like, we would go back and forth. I would go to Mexico for Christmas, for the summers, for birthdays. But as I got older, the times that she would come were just getting shorter. Like, it went from her coming like every month to her every 2 months to her only coming on our birthdays, and it just kept getting less and less and less of us seeing her. But my dad too, he was never home, and my mom didn't know that. Like, my mom didn't know that my dad wasn't here. So it was like me and my sister and my grandma. In 5th grade, my grandma passed away, and it was just me, my sister, my grandpa. And I love my grandpa. May he rest in peace, both of them. And like, my grandpa knew that my dad was never home, and like my grandpa was never home either. So it was always just me and my sister, always. Every time I would go back to Mexico, like my grandma over there, my mom's mom, she would ask me, she was like, how do you like it over there? Like, how do they treat you over there? And I would lie. I would be like, oh, like, I feel like I would complain to them and they would still not care for me to go back to Mexico. Like, the environment here was just always so toxic, versus in Mexico, like, everything was all love, peaches and cream, you know? Like, I had to start accepting the fact that this is how my life was gonna be. Basically, my mom lived in Mexico, my dad was never home, my grandma was dead, my grandpa was never home, and it was just me and my sister, and we didn't even get along. So it was just always like me by myself, you know? I never really wanted to tell my mom that my dad wasn't here, because they were still together. That's the crazy part. They were still married. And I know my dad would go and do his own thing. Well, no, I didn't know that at the time, but he would be out and about. I never wanted to question him because he always financially supported us. But I never wanted to snitch on him because I feel like he was more present than she was, because he stayed here with us and she left. But I always felt more love from my mom than him, which is weird. I don't know. It's very, very weird. I never snitched my dad out. So I started doing me in middle school. I had a boyfriend and everything. And like, he was 4 years older than me. And like, everyone was always so mad at me that I was dating someone older. But I could just tell that I was like looking someone who would take care of me, because I feel like nobody here was. I was just all in love, and we were together for a long time, like maybe a year. And he was friends with my sister. Like, him and my sister got along. So that's how me and my sister started getting like cool again, because I would tell her like, hey, I have a boyfriend and he's in your grade. Because the middle school that I went to was like middle school, high school combined. So that's how I met him. Then my mom found out that I was dating someone 4 years older than me, and she flipped. She came, like, that was enough for her to like come all the way to Houston to finally visit us and be like, you need to break up with him. And I went off on her and I was like, girl, I am not leaving him because you don't even live here. You don't take care of us. So how do you want me to listen to you? But I didn't understand this at the time. But that was my mentality back then. Like, I was like, why would I listen to you when you're not even here? You know, like, that kind of caught her attention, and she kind of felt like, oh my God, ¿qué está pasando con Melody? Like, she's falling off track. Like, we gotta do something. Like, now she felt like she had to be a mom. Like, she was like, we need to do something. So middle school's over. I break up with that boyfriend. The ending of 8th grade, like the summer before high school, my sister was entering her freshman year of college. So she was about to leave because she ended up going to college in Minnesota. And that had my mom worried, because she was like, no, like, if I don't go live with her, I don't know what's gonna happen to her. Her dad doesn't look out for her. Like, I guess she eventually picked up on the fact that my dad was never home, and she got scared. She got kind of worried. So she finally, 9 years later, when I'm 15, 16, she finally moves, because my sister left to college and she knew that I was going to be all by myself. She finally left Mexico and came to live with us. This woman and my dad were still together. It ended up not working out between them, which I should have known, because, like, how are y'all married and y'all live in different countries? I don't know. Yeah, they ended up breaking up and he moved out. So it was just me, my mom, and my grandpa. I didn't talk to my dad for like 3 years. Like, he went ghost for 3 years, because I guess the girlfriend that he was with, she did not like us. Like, I remember I was beefing with her too on Instagram when I was like 15. I was like, you're a homewrecker. I was all young and dumb. And my dad really didn't talk to us for like 3 years. Like, he literally went ghost. We didn't hear from him. We didn't get no money from him for 3 years. And I was like, damn, we're never gonna see this man again. Like, because I guess my dad felt betrayed because we sided my mom. But it was like, I don't know, it was weird because my parents are very distant, but they were there. It doesn't make sense. Then my mom tells me, and she was like, do you want to go back to Monterrey? That's all I know. Like, I'm not with your dad anymore. Like, let me go back. And I literally looked at her and I was like, girl, if I already came and went through all these sacrifices, because I went through a lot, like, learning the language was hard. I had to deal with bullying. I felt so lonely. Like, it was very, very hard for me. Now that I'm comfortable and I know the language and I'm safe and I want to be here, you want to take that away? So I politely declined, and I was like, no. I feel like she was gonna make me. I feel like she was gonna be like, oh, you don't have a choice, like, you're coming with me, like, you're underage. But I was like, no, because if my sister got the opportunity to graduate in Houston and go to school in the US, I should have the same opportunity. So when I broke it down to her like that, she was like, okay, you're right. Like, we already came. You're in high school. Like, you can just graduate high school, go to college, and everything be fine, right? My grandpa ended up passing away in 2020. So when I graduated high school, my grandpa passed away. And my grandma, my mom's mom, passed away. And that was the most heartbreaking thing that I had to go through. Like, I literally, like, so for me not wanting to go back, I had went back to celebrate her birthday September 15th. And then coming back, she passed away November 15th. It was my best friend's birthday, November 16th. My sister said, are you sure you don't want to come to Mexico with us to see my grandma? Like, she's really sick. And I always thought my grandma was gonna live forever, because I was like, she's a strong woman. Like, me and her get along so well. Like, she's been with me through since the beginning. Like, when I would vent to her about how I never wanted to be here, like, my grandma was the only one that really understood me. But she knew that it was above her to make a decision. Like, my mom had to make her own decisions. So that day, my sister was like, are you sure you don't want to come with us? And I was like, no, like, I'm just gonna stay here. Like, it's my best friend's birthday, like, whatever. And she passed away the next day. Like, the next day I get a FaceTime, and I was literally with like Andy and like 3 of my other friends, and my sister FaceTimed me and like really heard her die through a FaceTime call. And that just broke my heart. Like, I was like, oh my God, like, what the fuck just happened? It was like a very moment for me, like, kind of like a wake-up call, because it's just not fair how, like, if I'm here, I'm missing out over there, but if I'm there, I'm missing out on the new life. And it was just so much of that growing up. Like, it was just so much of like, oh, you're gonna miss your tia's birthday, or you're gonna miss your best friend's birthday, or your boyfriend's birthday. And it's just like, I'm creating a whole new life here in Houston, and I already have one in Mexico, and it's just like being 2 places at once just seems impossible. But my mom made it work for some reason. She still does. She still goes back and forth. But yeah, like, that growing up was very frustrating for me, because my whole life growing up was always traveling. Like, I was born here, went to Mexico 2 months old, lived there for 6 years, came here at 7, went to school, would go to Mexico for the summer, would go to Mexico for New Year's and Christmas, come back for school. And I did that 9 years straight. It was just a whole lot of that. It wasn't until I was like a sophomore in high school that I had a boyfriend that I actually really liked, that I literally told myself like, I'm not, because when you really like someone, like you want to spend holidays with them and their family, you know. So it started becoming this thing. Is like, damn, like, am I gonna spend it with my boyfriend's family here? Am I gonna spend it with my mom's family in Mexico, or my dad's family here? Like, you see, like, it was just too much going on that I was just like, it just became really difficult. And I would always have, this is what I was stressed about growing up, like, where am I gonna spend the holidays? So fast forward until now that I like am older, and I thank my mom for everything that I used to cry about. Like, oh, I'm so glad you brought us over here for a better life, because it paid off. And obviously I didn't understand it at the time. I just wish her delivery would have been different. Like, maybe she should have stayed here living with us. Now I thank her for everything. Now I understand. And me and my mom went to therapy for like 2 years to fix our relationship. We're good now. I thank her because living in a third world country is not easy. We're very blessed to have the opportunity to live here and to have papers and to have the opportunities that we have. And when I go back, like, I always think about it, I'm like, bro, like, my life would have been so different if I would have stayed. Like, bro, it's so different. Like, I have a cousin over there that's like my age, and I always compare our lives. Like, you know, we grew up together and then one day we just split, and I feel like she's living the life that my mom wanted me to live, and I'm living the life that I was supposed to live. But like, in my mom's eyes, like, she always wanted me and my sister to be like them, and this is what we are. I also asked her, I was like, so if you wanted us to live here, why did you offer us to go back? And she was like, I wanted y'all to come here, have papers, no English, go to school here, but go live in Mexico over there so y'all can be set. So her plan was always for us to live in Mexico. She just wanted us to have, like, to go to better schools, to speak the language, because that it's way more benefiting. There's better opportunities. But once we actually got here, we didn't want to go back. And my mom was not expecting that, because we are first generation. Like, both of my parents were born in Mexico. Me and my sister are the first ones in the bloodline to be like here. The sacrifices that my mom made, like, they all make sense now. And it's like, when I was younger, none of that made sense to me. I was so mad at her because I was like, I'm getting bullied, I don't know English, and it was very hard. But honestly, going through that built a lot of character, because I was able to learn a language on my own. I somehow managed to live 2 lives here and over there, because I speak both languages fluently. Getting the best of both worlds just made me into the person that I am now, and that is a very unique experience. Like, growing up, I saw it like as a curse, but now, like, I'm really blessed, and I'm so glad that my life happened the way that it happened. Realistically speaking, I'm very blessed to have even been able to have 2 lives in 2 different countries. Like, I'm known over there and I'm known over here. Looking at how my life was supposed to be in Mexico, I'm very glad and very blessed and very thankful that my parents put me through all that. Because when I look at the people now, like, the people here, like, their parents were born here, their grandparents were born here, and they're just, everything is all figured out. My parents and everyone are looking at me and my sister like, for us to figure it out, to be where I'm at compared to where I started, which was in Monterrey. Like, I'm just very impressed, because the people that I'm surrounded by, like, everything was always like handed to them. Their parents already figured it out. And it's like, to be where I am now, like, I'm very proud of myself and how far I have came and how far I am still gonna go, because I'm nowhere near to where I want to be. But never did I think that I was gonna be here. It's just crazy, because I feel like that plays a really big part into the person that I am now. Like, genuinely, moving to the US at 6 years old shaped me into doing anything. Like, because I was able to do that, I feel like I can do it all. Genuinely, I do. And I know I can, because to everyone, because I know I'm not the only one that has gone through this, like, you know what it's like to, like, you know, like, it's very challenging, especially being very young. I grew up thinking that I was gonna live in Mexico, like, just at 6 years old, when I thought all my life was figured out. No. 14 years old, when I'm thinking, oh, I have my whole life figured out. No, it got twisted again, and it got twisted again. But life is all about that. I feel like life is all about, like, growing and evolving. But it's like, because I was able to overcome that at very young, now I feel like anything that gets thrown at me, I feel like I can do anything. Maybe if I would have stayed over there, I would have still been as successful, but I do not think that I would be the way that I am. I always considered my heart to be in Mexico, my life to be in Mexico. My family lives in Mexico. Like, when it comes to the holidays, I still go over there because that's where my family's at. I wouldn't have had it any other way, honestly. Like, I feel like I'm very blessed to be where I'm at. Somebody had asked me this: if I were to reside in any third world country, where would you settle? It would be Mexico. I've always said this, like, if something ever happened with the US, I have a whole life in Mexico that I would not mind going over there and moving in. I love Monterrey. I would want to get a house over there. I wouldn't mind living in Monterrey. I feel like eventually, when I do become financially free, or where I don't have to be here in Houston to make money, I would go live my life over there, because, like I said, my life has always been over there. And it's crazy because I was telling that my mom the other day. I was like, that's crazy, because that could still be the plan. Like, you can make a lot of money here and then go spend it over there, because it's way more, like, affordable, it's cheaper. And it's like, Monterrey is a beautiful city. I love Monterrey. Like, if you've been there, then you know. I also love Houston. Like, I love living here. My whole life is here. My friends, everybody. But yeah, like, I've always felt like I had, like, a double life. I thank my mom for that, because she's the reason why we have this double life. So that was the story of how I moved to the US at 6 years old, and how it shaped me into the person that I am now. And I'm sure a lot of you, well, a lot of people in the Hispanic community have different stories, but that's, like, my story. Yeah. Oh, someone said, how did my parents choose my name? My sister, she's the one that named me Melody, because she liked the Little Mermaid movie. And before I was born, I guess the Little Mermaid's movie where she had the daughter came out, and her daughter name is Melody. So she told them to name me that, because she thought I was gonna be born a mermaid. But but I love my name, and I thank her for that too, because my name is very beautiful and very unique. But yeah, that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching to the end of the video. Today's video was a little personal, but yeah, let me know what y'all think. If y'all have any more ideas or videos that you want me to do, drop it in the comments. Follow me on all my social medias, CMP Melody everywhere. And yeah, thank you for watching.